WNST, Tassel, Baltimore, and AM 1570. We are BaltimorePositive.com. We're going to be doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour this week. I'll be giving away Ravens scratch-offs. We had a $50 winner 2 weeks ago at a Greenmount Station in Hampstead. We had a great experience then at Drug City 2 weeks ago in Dundalk. We are now back in Cockeysville. We're going to be at Pappas on Friday, celebrating a football weekend with the Carolina Panthers, but also chatting with Dan Roderick from the Baltimore Sun, who's doing a one-man show a little later on in the month. My lifer friend Dan will be joining us. David Steele, who's written yet another book, will be joining us at Pappas on Friday, as well as at Pappas Crab Cake. And Mike Bordick and Frank Clark will be back talking baseball, holidays, and Field of Dreams as well. Last time we were at Pappas, we had this guy. He is not only a big fan of the Pappas crab cake, but a big fan of the applesauce at Pappas. Don't sleep on that. We welcome Leonard Raskin back from Raskin Global. He is he's always with us and trying to keep us straight on taxes and money and the American dream and all this. I can't believe you're missing his crab cake this week, Leonard.
Hey, Fridays happen, crab cakes happen. Sometimes you have to miss them. I am flying out to the Ohio State University Friday.
Yeah, I saw how Maryland played last week. I don't really want to talk about Maryland anymore. Can we just make Maryland's season end right around Halloween?
I think the Buckeyes are. I think I saw 25-point favorite opening up. That seems pretty big. Maryland usually plays Ohio State pretty tight. I don't know. We'll see.
How does anyone bet a line that's a 4 or 5 touchdown? Like I've often, when the old pool cards would come out, Rice would always be like a 35-point underdog to Texas A&M when I was a kid, and I used to call him fried rice. And I'd be like, how do you know whether they're going to lose by 34 or 36?
I don't
know. How do you make a conscientious wager on such a proposition?
I don't know. All I can tell you is, from my recollection past weekend, Ohio State was a 41, get this, 41-point favorite over Indiana, and they won by 42.
See, I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was either going to be 40 or 42. I didn't know it was one way or another, right?
I don't know how that plays, man. That's scary to me. That's
scary. A lot of money to bet on the 19-year-old making an extra point. I saw guys missing extra points over the weekend in the NFL. And I'm like, the extra point's not ordinary anymore.
No, it's not a gimme. It's not a gimme. But that's why I don't bet. I work way too hard for my money. If I'm going to put it somewhere where there's volatility, it's going to be in the market, the stock market, not the Vegas market. It's unbelievable to me, though, how the consensus of whoever it is that makes the line, ultimately these games come so darn close. And if you watch, don't want to promote somebody else's show, but Scott Van Pelt Monday nights after the football game does bad beats, and he has some amazing things that come in a point or two away, or an over by a point, or an under by a point. You just can't believe what some of these are. It's absolutely staggering.
How about Josh Allen on the 1-yard line fumbling the ball and giving the game away to the Vikings?
Right.
Like,
the Vikings should have.
Once they stop them on 4th down at the goal line, offense comes in. All you got to do is fall forward, and you win the game. And boy, that's going to change the whole course of the playoff seedings and structure because of that kind of loss.
How happy are we? How happy are we that the Bills lost in that game? But why? Here, I go back to the Ravens Super Bowl. What are we going, 10 years now? 10 years now. And I've seen this a couple times since, but not many. The intentional safety, right?
Correct.
So here they are on the 1-inch line, and the only thing that's going to cost them the game is a fumble. And what does he do? He fumbles the snap, and the Vikings recover, go up to the lead. Then you got to wonder. And as I'm watching the game, I'm hearing the announcer say this is the most incredible 2 minutes they've ever seen, and I'm hearkening back to the Ravens and Vikings Snow Bowl with 8 million touchdowns in 2 minutes. And I'm thinking, wow, these Vikings are good at this. But then they decide to play prevent for 35 seconds and let the Bills come down and get a field goal to tie that game, which they should have lost twice. But sure enough, overtime, outrageous. They scored a field goal where they should have scored a touchdown and won the game. and then they have to rely on an interception in the end zone to pull it off. That was crazy. But like you said, it's good to see the Bills lose, because now I think we are 6-3, and so are they. Now they hold the tiebreaker on us because they came back from 800 points down and beat us. But just the same, we just needed one more win.
Don't sleep
One
on
more
the
win.
Dolphins or the Jets, by the way. That whole division, it looked like we were beginning the season against the AFC East like we did
Easy
back when I
four.
was a Colts fan back
Easy
in the
four.
70s, right? And it's turned out to be not quite that. The Jets are better than you think. And the
Yeah.
Dolphins have shown some grittiness here and some excitement. I don't want to go down to Miami and play them. I
No,
would
Tua is
almost
throwing
take
the
my
ball all
chances with
over the
Buffalo.
place.
Yeah.
Tua is throwing that ball all over the place, doing amazing things. Yeah, wow. I don't know. Look, it's stacked, man. You got Buffalo, you got Miami, you got Kansas City. They're three tough teams. I don't think any of them are going to be easy later on.
What's haves and have-nots, though, right? Like, you look at the
Yeah.
Ravens' schedule the rest of the way, and you're like, how the next 3 weeks, just as an example, Carolina, you go to Jacksonville, you got Denver at home. When the schedule came out, maybe we didn't like Jacksonville, but I think we felt differently about Denver. We felt differently about a lot of these teams. Now that we're into this thing, I look at Kansas City's schedule the rest of the way. I look at Cincinnati's schedule the rest of the way and think, wow, the Ravens have the easiest schedule in the league
Yes,
the
we
rest of
do.
the
Yes,
way,
we do.
that you could start thinking about not just playoffs, health, being the biggest
Sure.
consideration,
Right.
but you start thinking about, like, who are they going to play? Where are they going to play them? And this is a good problem to have Thanksgiving week, I think, right? The fact that the schedule's easy, they're getting healthier. The Roquan Smith pickup, huge. Ronnie Stanley in the lineup, huge. Picking up JPP and having Justin Houston come back, these 30-somethings that Belichick's always sort of won with over the course of time.
Yep.
The team is structured really well right now to go on a run, the Ravens.
Look, the next 4 should be 4 straight. You never know what's going to happen, but you're right. I mean, their schedule's just, it's easy. It's got to be easiest in the NFL. I think it is. And so you say health being what it is and everybody coming back, you had a sort of bye week and then a bye week. You have the opportunity to step in and play good ball. Lamar hasn't turned the ball over in 3 games. They've won 3 games. So hold on to the football. I think I told you, Bo Eason. Do you remember that name, Bo Eason?
Yeah, I remember Bo Eason, sure.
Yeah, so I saw him speak. He's now a public speaker, motivational guy.
He was a Houston Oiler.
Yeah, and he
Bo
did a
Eason.
one-man Broadway show that was amazing. And I saw him speak, and he came in the room with a football, and he was holding the football. And he said when he used to play in the backyard with his brother and his father, they would get in trouble if they dropped the football. So they always caught the football. And he said, in the game, this is the most important thing. You hold on to the football. And you realize in almost all games, I mean, there's the exceptions, of course, but in almost all games, penalties and turnovers kill you. And if you can avoid stupid penalties and turnovers, you're most likely going to win against anybody. And then when you've got the easiest schedule in the NFL, you should, if you play well, don't turn it over, don't make stupid mistakes. You should win these games. And there's a great time going into Thanksgiving to be able to look at this and say look, it's all in front of them and they have the ability to pull these off. It's fantastic. It's almost predictable, except it's not.
Well, they were really good last year, right? And one injury, look at Buffalo. They're good enough to win the Super Bowl. That kid's got a bad elbow. He's now making bad decisions, right? They have to play him. He has to get out of bed and go play. They're not going to rest him up, certainly not where they are in the competitive balance of things about even being a playoff team at this point. But you're one injury away, and you really – the mistakes that get made here by coaches, decisions, but giving a game away on the goal. I mean, at least with the Ravens, they gave some games away in September. They had to make a lot of mistakes to blow a 35-14 lead. It wasn't any one guy or one play. Certainly Lamar, the pick against the Giants, awful. But one decision and one play in one game could mean everything for these teams at this point.
Yeah, look, the Cowboys went for it. What was it? 4th and 4. on their own 40 or something like that. Went for it, missed it. Could have punted, could have kicked a field goal, could have ended in a tie. And the hapless Packers, go figure that, right at the beginning of the season, the hapless Packers go down and get the field goal, win the game. It's crazy. The betting lines
Overtime is
are
weird
insane.
now with this 10 minutes, right? Like I watched a couple of overtime games. We don't watch them every week, but man, you get the ball. Next thing you know, there's 3 minutes left to go in the game, and it's a 2-possession overtime. And first score, if you get the ball, you win the game. There's so much pressure to not punt. There's pressure to not kick a field goal when you're on the 20-yard line, because you're like, oh, we kick a field goal, we're giving the ball back. The worst, they'll come kick a field goal. And it's amazing how tired defenses look. Like, I saw the Vikings out there at the end of the game. I said, they look like they're moving in slow motion. They look really tired late in the game.
Yeah. Well, you look at the number of plays Buffalo had. They were all over them. And it's hard. I guess it's hard, it's certainly not the weather, but those guys are big men out there taking a lot of snaps. And I think you look back to the Miami game, the Buffalo game with us, you said a lot of things had to happen. One of the things that happened was, as you know, the back end got hurt. The front end was tired, and Tua went wild and Allen went wild, and we lost.
Well, we had Justin Houston out there playing 50, 60 snaps a week. So the notion that what we're going to see the next 6, 8 weeks, Roquan Smith, you got Ajabo coming back. The defense for the Ravens, something we didn't talk a lot about early on, and when we did talk about it was about them blowing leads, right?
Yep.
They've improved the defense here. And if they can keep Lamar healthy, get Andrews where he needs to be, get Edwards back on the field. I don't know about Dobbins. I'm skeptical that he's going to be an impact player. But the healthy guys they have, if you would have told me Ronnie Stanley would be playing on Thanksgiving back in September, I would have said, well, if he's playing and playing healthfully, they're going to be a much better football team with Ronnie Stanley. We knew that.
And I agree. And I think the Roquan Smith pickup can't be underestimated for a couple of reasons. I think, A, the guy's amazing, and B, he tackles like nobody. He tackles like Ray Lewis used to tackle. And he gets to the guy and he doesn't let him go. When you come up against him, you're not going for 8 extra yards. And I think that's going to be good for Queen. It's going to be good for Humphrey. It's going to be good for Peters. It's going to be good for guys that don't necessarily wrap up and think you can hit a guy with your shoulder and knock him down. And these guys try to wrap up, and sometimes they don't. But I think he just puts a marker on the table down on the field that says, this is how we do it. And we're going to do it this way. And they're going to see that, and they're going to be better for it. And if everybody comes back, I mean, this could be a scary team. And I don't think it's under the radar either. They think they're under the radar, but I think the rest of the NFL sees it.
Leonard Raskin is here. He is Raskin Global. You can find him out at the front of BaltimorePositive.com. You can also find him at Raskin Global, chasing the American dream and taking care of my finances and trying to get us in order here toward the end of the year. Not everybody's as complicated as I am, Leonard, here. But the last 6 weeks of the year, just a basic, if somebody knocked on your door right now, tightening things up at the end of the year and trying to make good decisions, because we're blinking. It's Thanksgiving next week. We get into the holidays. Once December 15th goes, we get into party time and the cakes come and all that. Some thoughts about the last 6 weeks and people thinking about money this year, especially for a non-plague year. We had a couple of really weird years of PPPs and all that going on.
Yeah, and really weird changes in the law, which now you got to be aware of, and things that have to clean up. So one of the things that you should definitely be thinking about, if you took an IRA withdrawal or a 401k loan under the rules of COVID, you were able to take money out of an IRA. And if you were under 59 and a half, you didn't have to pay a 10% penalty. Now, you had 3 years to put that money back and not pay the tax. So it's really interesting. If you took a withdrawal in 2020, you have the 2020 calendar year, the 21 year, and the 22 year. If you have that money to put back, a couple things. Now is a good time to put it back. Markets are down 15% from their high in January. Number two, you can amend prior tax returns, get back refunds if you had taxes that you had to pay. If not, you got to make sure that you pay the taxes. If you haven't reported in 20 or 21, you're allowed to report it over 3 years. You make sure you report it this year, or else you're going to get a big, ugly penalty from the IRS for not doing it. So don't forget, if you took money out, this is your chance to get it back in or to make other changes. And it's by 12/31. Sometimes people think about IRAs and they think about this April 15th deadline. Well, I can wait till I file my taxes. No, for that, you got to do it by 12/31. The other one is a Roth conversion. If you're in a low tax bracket today, you think you're going to be in a higher tax bracket in the future, you can convert your IRA into a Roth IRA. Again, if you're under 59 and a half, no 10% penalty. You have to pay the taxes, but no penalty on that. And now your money's growing in an account that's tax-free forever. And so you get the opportunity to take it out of a taxable environment, move it to a tax-free environment. Again, you can't do that next year. You got to do it by the end of the year, 12/31.
We always hear about Roth. Explain to me the Roth IRA.
Okay, so the pre-tax IRA, the regular IRA, you put money in pre-tax. So you reduce your taxable income this year. The problem is the tax savings are sitting in the plan. So in the future, when that money grows and you take it out, you pay taxes on your deposit and all the growth later. So you're giving the IRS back their money. They just lent it to you for a while. In the Roth IRA, you pay the taxes today. The money goes in after tax. So when you put that money in, it's already been taxed. All the growth is tax-free. And when you take it out, it's all tax-free. So if you're in a lower tax bracket today than you anticipate being in the future, Senator Roth from the great state of Delaware is the one that devised this plan in the tax code, came up with this years ago. And the idea is the money grows tax-free, you get it out tax-free. So you buy your taxes on sale, if you will. If you're in a 10, 12, 22% tax bracket, the Roth IRA or Roth 401k is the way to go, because when you put that money in and grow it, compounding of money is your friend. And in the long run, that could mean a big retirement account. Well, if that big retirement account's waiting to be taxed, you could actually be in a higher tax bracket in the future than you are today, which means the pre-tax option is not the right way to go. The Roth is the right way to go. And last but not least,
so you give away a third of your earnings at the end of the day.
You may, or more,
right,
or
right.
more when you could have given away 10 or 12 or 20%, 22% now. So
okay.
Buy your taxes when they're on sale. People don't like paying taxes. What I can tell you is people that have big retirement accounts like it even less when they get to retirement. So the Roth is the way to go. Feel a little bit of tax pain now at a low bracket so you don't feel any tax tinge later. It's all tax-free. That's the way to run your money. Tax-free is always better than taxable.
That's why we shop in Delaware from time to time. Leonard Raskin is here. He is, you're there for 365 days of tax-free Maryland. You can learn more about your financial future as well as the American dream. And certainly Leonard has great answers for all the really tough questions. You can find him out at raskinglobal.com. Last thing for you. You spent 3, 5, 6, 8 weeks in Europe back in the beginning. Did you make it to Munich? Did you go to Munich? I've never been to Munich, Germany.
Did not. Haven't been. Looking forward to it someday, and the Ravens would be a good excuse.
Oh, see, they're going to play in Frankfurt next year, though. I found that out. I read Peter King this morning. They're going to go Frankfurt, Munich, move it back and forth.
Was this game Munich this year?
Munich was on Sunday, right?
Okay.
Frankfurt. I've been to Frankfurt Stadium. I've seen Billy Joel there, but Munich, I've never. Munich's like in the southeast corner, like toward east side of Germany, Austria almost.
Right. Sure.
Munich, and a beer place. But I had no idea they knew John Denver songs. And as it turns out,
how crazy was that?
Well, I sent Niels to the game on Sunday,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Niels lives in the northwest side of Germany. So he had to drive like 6.5 hours at 150 miles an hour, by the way, to Munich with his wife. And we sat there and I got all of his videos and his pictures, and Ryan Jensen, former Raven, was kind enough to leave a couple of tickets for Neil. So he had a great experience, but I didn't know he knew all the words to Take Me Home Country Roads. And as it turns out, everyone in Germany does, because they sing it when they drink at Oktoberfest. And I didn't know that my buddy Mike Collins, I don't know, maybe some John Denver thing. Why do we sing Thank God I'm a Country Boy in the 7th inning? Why do we sing John Denver?
Because somebody
We're the only other people in the world that sing John Denver songs.
Because somebody started that 100 years ago. Who started that? I don't know.
1979 it started. I was out there when it really began. It began for Royal Magic in 79.
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm. I'll ask Charles Steinberg if he has the root of the root of knowing that.
I don't know why, but what I can tell you is we've talked about going to Oriole games a lot, and I hate Take Me Out to the ball game at the 7th inning.
Well, they play
it's
them both.
Sacrilege.
They play them both.
Yeah, They shouldn't. They should just take their time, play a little John Denver, do a little singing, dancing, and have a great time. The Capitals, and I don't know how this happened either, when TJ Oshie scores a goal. Every team now in the NHL has this deal. It's not a deal. It's this thing where when a player scores a goal, it's kind of like the baseball players walk up music to the plate. In
Right.
the NHL, they have this: you score a goal, we play your song. And Oshie's song is, Country Roads. John
Is it
Denver.
really?
It is. It's really bizarre.
When
But
did
that's
they
his
start
song.
this? I haven't watched a hockey game in 3-4 years. This started recently.
Years ago.
Okay, all right. So it's after they won the cup. All right, they got to do something.
I think it was after the cup year. I think it was like the year after, maybe. But for some reason, that's the song he's
I thought
picked.
when they scored a goal, it was universal that they play the woohoo and I'm feeling heavy metal. Woohoo!
No,
I thought that's what they had to play.
No, it's this. They play the players walk up song, the players goal scoring song. It's kind of bizarre, but
I'm going to watch now and root for TJ Oshie to score and see if everybody.
He's out. He's out right now. He hasn't played for a while.
I always liked him. Yeah,
the Cap. He's a good player, good man.
Yeah,
the Caps are in a hurting state. Over the weekend, they beat the Tampa Bay Lightning at home, lost to the Lightning in Tampa. The game in Tampa, they were down 4-0. 3 minutes to go in the first period, didn't have a shot on goal. The Caps didn't have a shot on goal. They ended up losing 6-3. So they weren't as embarrassed as the first period looked. But they are so hurt. They're missing, I think, eight starters or something. It's really bad. They're really hurt. So they got to muscle through this and try to make it, I think, to the All-Star break without a lot of stars on the ice. It's really tough.
Okay, so their biggest star, not Ovechkin, the other guy, the guy that's going to the Hall of Fame, who's my buddy for coaching, is my next guest on the program. So anybody out there this week, I didn't bring up hockey at all. Leonard Raskin brought it up in regard to Take Me Home Country Roads.
Yes.
And as it turns out, the great future Hall of Famer and Stanley Cup champion, Barry Trotz, will be on the program this week. How about that?
Awesome.
I haven't had him on in like 4 years. So I haven't had him on since he took the Islanders job. So I have never – the last time I had Barry on was before he won the Stanley Cup. So I haven't had him on since he's won the Stanley Cup. So
he's resting, right?
I have no idea. Like literally, we text back and forth once a month, give or take.
Well, he's not coaching.
I texted him last month because I almost went to Nashville to see Bono at the Ryman. Instead, I went to Toronto to see Bono because it rhymed, because it gave me a chance to have my passport out. So, but Trotsy said, I'm in Nashville 3 weeks ago when I hit him up. So I'm guessing he's in Nashville, but I don't know that for sure. But I'm going to find out.
But I'm saying he's not coaching is my point.
No. Well, you have any questions for Trotz, by the way?
He's resting. Yeah. Which job is he going to take? There's lots of opportunities. And he said at the end of the Islanders run that he was done. I don't know if that meant done for a while.
Well, it'd be interesting to me because I've had some private conversations with Trotz, and it feels to me like he's done. Like, so when I hear the rumors that he's going to Winnipeg like last year because he's from that area, or that he was going to take a gig somewhere, or that this job might be attractive, he did say out loud in an interview, this showed up on my timeline, that he finds the original 6 teams to be compelling. So that's my jumping off point with him. I'm going to drill into him a little bit and find out whether.
Does he speak French?
On pool. I think
because the Canadians they're always looking for a coach until they win.
I learned that when I was in Paris because my wife speaks enough French that she says if anybody asks you if you speak French, say un peu. That means a little. A little
bit. Yeah. So he was great. Look, we know what happened. They won the cup, and as we say, pay the man. And what did they do?
They ain't gonna do it again.
Let the man go.
Is it over for Ovechkin? I mean, can he? No. They can't win again. No.
They can win again. Look, Ovechkin's got one goal in mind, and Stanley Cup, I don't think is it anymore. It's Gretzky.
It's hanging out with Putin. Right? Oh no, I'm sorry. No, different goal. Leonard Raskin is here.
Post-hockey goal.
We'll talk politics next week. Leonard Raskin is here. He is Raskin Global. You can find him out at RaskinGlobal.com. Following the American Dream. You going to the game Sunday?
I am. My boy. Okay. We're going to go see Ohio State, Maryland on Saturday. It's 3:30. The game blew in at 3:30. I love that they wait till the week before. I'm going to fly home from the Terps game. I'm going to throw on my tux and head over to the fairgrounds for the Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital Gala, 100th anniversary gala. Then I'm going to head to the Ravens game on Sunday, a little turkey during the week, and then drive out to Columbus for the big game of Ohio State against the team up north.
We don't talk about the Harbaugh family in that way, do we?
No. Well, I don't talk about Harbaugh, but it's the team up north, and it's game week. The week of Thanksgiving is game week, so we'll be zeroed in on that. And then that Saturday night, we go see the Volleybucks. The Ohio State women's volleyball team is number 6 in the country. They've won 15 straight matches, and this weekend they beat the vaunted Nebraska Cornhusker girls, who are number 4 in the country. And so we're going to go see them on Thanksgiving Saturday night play Wisconsin. And believe it or not, they're number 1 in the country. The Wisconsin
all I know
girls.
about volleyball is I watched Flo Hyman play back in 1984. I think last time I literally a little beach volleyball. I had Karch Karai on at one point, but yep. I did have Mike Silver, famous sports writer, Sports Illustrated, one of my dear buddies. He was in town like 10 years ago. And we were going to go out drinking the night before a Raven game. It was like a Saturday night. His only caveat was that he's a Cal guy, in the way your family's Ohio State now. He's a Cal Golden Bear. They were playing some volleyball championship, and he maintained that he would not hang out with me unless we watched Cal play volleyball. So I have watched some volleyball in the last 10 years, and I did not know you were all into that Ohio State Buckeye ladies volleyball team.
The reason is the boy plays in the band in the stands, and if you want to see the boy on TV, because they always show the band and he's on the TV a lot, you got to watch the volleyball to see the boy. So I've this season become a fan of the lady Bucks, and they're pretty darn good.
All right, well, good luck to them. I mean, I'm still getting into this Big Ten thing, trying to figure out who's good at what. I know Maryland's playing basketball, and I know they have a new coach, and I know I've gotten invited down to College Park.
Fastball.
Well, it's, when your football team's bowl eligible, but it's going to be the Weed Eater Bowl at this point, you move your thoughts toward the basketball season a little bit. Leonard, I appreciate you. We're going to check back in with you next week. We'll have turkey, cranberry, stuffing, and certainly some pumpkin pie available here. Our friends at Wise Markets and our friends at the Maryland Lottery coming together to do some cool stuff here. I got the Crab Cake Tour this week. We're going to be at Pappas in Cockeysville. Dan Rodricks, David Steele, Mike Bordick going to be joining us with Frank Kolarek talking some Field of Dreams. And then, of course, we'll be back after it for Thanksgiving the following week and serving some less fortunate folks with our friends at Goodwill and our friends at Wise Markets downtown on the 23rd. If you want to volunteer for that, throw me a note, Ness at BaltimorePositive.com. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your time out there at Ohio State and the easy travel. And I want a full report on the Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital when you get back in here, all right?
Absolutely.
Leonard Raskin joining us here. He is following the American Dream. You can follow him out at Raskin Global. You can follow me and Luke. Luke will be in Owings Mills all week, getting you ready for the Carolina Panthers. In my mind, I'm going to Carolina. And we were singing about West Virginia and Munich the other day. Let's have a little Maryland, my Maryland. I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore positive.